Big box PC games. One of the best things about retro computing is getting these big old boxes with all their manuals and VLEs and things inside. These are some of my favourites. These ones are all in pretty good nick, and it's lovely to have them like this. But it doesn't always happen that way, because sometimes, inadvertently, you may end up with something like this. I saw this on eBay a while back. It didn't look too bad from the photographs, though I knew it wasn't in pristine condition because it was pretty cheap. I put in a little offer to try and knock a few more quid off, and the seller said, yeah, because it's a little bit damaged, they said. You can have a few pounds off it. But when it arrived, it was just packed in a polythene bag, and it looked like somebody had sat an elephant on top of it in the delivery van. It was squashed flat. And not only that, it was packed in nothing but a polythene bag, and the seller had written my name and address on the little white box on the polythene bag while the box was inside. So now I have my name and address permanently embossed in the front of this box from the biro pressure. But what can you do? I was going to complain about it and see if I could get a refund. They were very apologetic, and at that point I kind of decided, you know what, I'm going to save this. It would probably just end up in the bin if I send it back, so I'm going to do what I can to revive it. You can see everything's inside. There's a couple of pretty sort of meaty manuals in here, how to drive racing cars and that kind of thing. So yeah, the contents are complete, which is nice. So what we really want to do here is try and renovate this box into something that those books and the CD can live inside without hanging their head in shame. So yeah, you can see the state of this thing, so we'll see what we can do. One reason to maybe try and save this is it was released in 1998 to very good reviews, but it completely bombed sales wise, especially in America, so potentially there aren't that many copies of it kicking around. As I said, the game did get pretty good reviews. Looking on Wikipedia, they say that it was very highly thought of on release, despite the fact that it sold poorly. We can see on the back here it supports 3DFX, which is cool, and rendition ready. I wish I had a rendition card. I'm going to get one day, but I don't have one yet, so we won't be able to try that out. But yeah, I'm sure we can find a 3DFX card, and we'll take a look at it a little later. You can see from the comments on the back of the box that this is aimed at the serious simulator end of the market, not so much the arcade end, claiming to really recreate the vibe of those old cars from the 1967 Grand Prix in superb 3D. To give an idea of just how much of a simulator this thing is, Maximum PC ran an article in 1999 asking, when does a simulator cease being a game and stop being fun? And yeah, Grand Prix Legends featured quite heavily in that article, so Anyway, enough about the game for now. We'll have a look at it a bit later on after we fix this box, so we can see the state of it. Lots of creases, cracks, frayed corners, and things that don't close properly. To begin with, we're going to look at the inner cardboard box, and we're going to put some greaseproof paper over the top, take a very hot iron to it, and see if we can get it flat again. So I've done this before, and it's amazing how much a hot iron can actually restore some quite damaged cardboard to its kind of former rigid state. So this isn't actually too bad, it's just a bit warped. You do have to be careful with the hot iron, because if you leave it in one place for too long, the cardboard kind of contracts around the iron, so you can misshapen it even more. But if you just keep it moving smoothly, we should be able to get it back fairly flat. I noticed some blots on the tabs on here, so I think this thing was glued shut on 5 sides originally, and just the flap at the top opened and closed, allowing you to put things in and out of it. The iron seems to have done its job, and this is feeling pretty flat and pretty sort of back to the way it should be. It was just a kind of bent, curved shape before, probably from just hanging loose like that and not being kept properly. So we're going to close these tabs again using some double-sided sellotape, and then we should just end up with the flap sort of opening and closing on the side that allows us to put the books and things inside. So this bit's pretty straightforward. It all goes back together quite nicely. The sellotape holds the tabs in place, and yeah, it just is a different thing altogether now, and you just flip that little flap over there and the lid closes. A nice little home for the books and the CD. Onto the outer cover. Same thing with the greaseproof paper and the iron, just keeping it moving. A bit more to do here because we got some frayed corners where the cardboard's delaminated on itself that need kind of ironing back into their correct positions. But yeah, it's the same kind of thing. It should feel a lot more rigid afterwards. Really need the greaseproof paper here to stop ink coming off on the iron. That's all feeling a lot firmer now. So the next stage is to try and restore some of the colour. So I got these a while back off Amazon. I don't think they were very expensive. I use them for all sorts of things. It's a good range of felt tip pens, and yeah, we're going to try and do what we can to colour in the missing bits on the box, and you know, we'll get as close as we can just using these, and hopefully it will look a lot better as a result. And then it really is just a case of working across things slowly and patiently, filling in, putting as little ink on as possible. I try to blend it in, sometimes using a bit of kitchen towel. But yeah, it really is just a case of working your way around the box slowly and patiently, trying to sort of fill in those bits that have come away in creases and cracks. You can see just looking at that corner straight away, it just instantly makes it look better. So I kind of was thinking while I was doing this, you know, those adult colouring in books you get, this is kind of the equivalent for retro nerds. You don't need a colouring in book, you just buy a bedraggled old PC big box off eBay for not much money, get your felt pens out, you can sit in front of the TV and do this. It's all very, very relaxing. Well, mostly relaxing. Obviously this took a while, so I won't bore you with a film of every bit of it, but yeah, I did a bit up here, did this little bit of film, but then I just took it around with me. I watched a movie sitting downstairs on the sofa while I was doing it. Like I said, it is quite relaxing, a bit like a colouring book, and yeah. And eventually it was pretty much done, so it's looking so much better. What can I say? It just looks a hell of a lot better. And you can see the blotches at the top left corner there. Different pens have different sheens, so I did use not just the pens in this pack but some other sort of permanent markers and things that gave a slightly different result. It's worth experimenting. If you wanted to, you could even find the perfect pen to match the ink that's already there. It would look a lot better probably than this one does, but yeah, it's looking pretty damn good. Now time for some glue. So PVA glue is what I use, which is basically a wood glue. After all, cardboard is just basically thin wood. PVA is good because it dries clear, it's flexible, and it will take colour from the pens as well, so it's great for reinforcing joints and things like that. A couple of examples of things that you would fix with the glue. So you've got holes and you've got splits on the corner of the box. Holes you're kind of stuffed unless you've got, as in this case, the flap of cardboard that has come away, so we can put tape behind that to hold it back in position, and put tape behind the split on the corner as well. And then it's really just a case of putting some of this glue on and kind of smearing it in with your finger and smoothing it off, and then just waiting for it to dry. I like to run this stuff around all of the edges as well, because it stops them where you get cardboard delaminating on corners. It's good for gluing those back together, but then if you run a smear of this stuff around all of the edges of the box, they're probably never going to, it's never going to happen again. They're not going to come apart again because they've got the glue protection. As I said, because it's clear, you can't really see it as long as you don't put too much on, so it's good stuff. And once you've gone around the box with the glue and it's all dried and you've recolored it, this is what you end up with. So you can see it's shining a little bit there. That's part of the bit that I've recolored, and it's mostly just because I've got some very bright light shining on it because I'm filming, and you normally wouldn't have that, but just take my word for it, in normal light it's very, very difficult to see where you've actually added the colour, and you can just see all of those creases and cracks have just, to the eye, gone essentially. You can, if you hold it up against the light and have a really close look, you can still see they're there, and you can still see some sort of textural differences on the box, but by and large it looks fab. An example of how this is good, if you look at the centre of the box at the top, the yellow writing, that's the state it was in when I got it. After the repair and a bit of careful colouring in and some glue, look at it there. So like a different thing altogether. All done, all looking pretty cool. Like I'm just going to give it one more iron just to make sure everything's as flat as it can possibly be. Hopefully it won't remelt my glue or anything like that, or take any of my newly coloured bits off. But yeah, that looks fine. So yeah, looking way, way better. And voila, it's all finished, so get that cardboard box open and we can put the things back inside it as they would have been originally, so that's pretty cool. It looks much better, at least that bit's totally back to the way it should be. But yeah, we can slide that back into the outer sleeve now, which also is looking much better. It's not perfect, but it's certainly probably pass all but the most intensive scrutiny. It certainly looks fine at a glance, and I'm pleased I've rescued something. So from that disappointment of being sent a flat, broken game, I now feel like I've done something good for the world of retro gaming and saved this poor thing from a life of misery. Job done. It looks pretty damn good, I have to say. It feels solid and like it's going to sit square and properly, and you can see the blotches if you look hard, but if you weren't looking for them, you probably wouldn't see them. So it just looks like a slightly aged computer game, which is perfect. So happy to have it. And there we've created a special place on a special shelf to put it alongside some of the other games. So I don't think this is the worst game on the shelf anymore, given the state that it was in just a few hours before. It looks fine and it sits alongside the other slightly better condition games, and you wouldn't really think twice about it if you saw it on the shelf. So yeah, really pleased. Now, time to find out just how much of a hardcore sim this is, and we're going to be using my Slot A Athlon machine that you may have seen in a video a little while ago where I fitted 2 Voodoo 2s in SLI, so that's going to give us our glide goodness, and yeah, we'll see just how it looks and how hard it really is. So we'll get that installed and we'll give it a whirl. First impressions, it really does lovingly recreate the cars and the other drivers, though when you drive yourself you choose your own name and you choose your own nationality, so it's not particularly accurate in that sense, but all of the other drivers you're racing against are real drivers in real cars from 1967. Here we are running at 1024x768 in Glide, and it looks pretty nice, I have to say. And I'm just the only car on the track doing a practice lap to get used to the track. I guess you would have to do that if you wanted to play this game well. It's tricky, let's just say that. And it's definitely a simulator, not an arcade game. Okay, we're into the game now, so there's other cars here. There's 6 cars altogether, including me, and this is a simulation of the race weekend. So this is the Saturday, and it gives you, I think it's 15 minutes of basically just driving around this track, trying to get the fastest lap you can. And at the end of the 15 minutes, the person with the fastest lap gets pole position, and everybody else falls into place behind them depending on how fast they went. So in that respect, it's a pretty nice little copy of the original. I'm not really into car driving games. I haven't played any of the more recent Formula 1 games. I did play Jeff Cranman's Formula 1 back in the day, which I think again is a similar kind of game, not quite as hardcore, but I think it's one of the Formula 1 seasons that tries to exactly replicate. So this is kind of doing the same thing, but this one feels a little bit more hardcore. Having looked at some of the settings that you get in the pits to set up the car, pretty complex stuff. So yeah, you need to practice a lot and spend a lot of time with this game to get the most out of it. Yeah, the game did throw you in at the deep end. Needless to say, I came last in qualifying, so here I am at the back of the grid. Let's see how we get on against these cars. And there you go. They all vanish. They're all so much faster than this car. They go around corners faster, they do everything faster, and I guess that's because I'm just racing. I haven't gotten into this, I haven't set my car up, I haven't made any adjustments, and presumably they expect you to do that because it is a simulator for the enthusiast. So you would to get the most out of this game, you either have to get into it or forget it, because there's no arcade mode, and I was hoping there would be an arcade mode when I thought I'm going to make a quick video of this game at the end of the video that I'm making about the box, and was looking for the arcade mode or the quick race, and no, there's nothing like that. Everything is in depth. You've got to qualify for everything, you've got to set your car up for everything. So yeah, it is, I can see what they meant in that magazine. It's a pretty heavy duty simulator, but it looks like you'd be rewarded for getting into it, and you probably learn a bit about what it was like to race then as well, and some great stuff in the book that came with it as well. But that's pretty much it. I feel pleased that I've resurrected this game. I'm glad to have it on my shelf. I wouldn't have said that before, but it turned out pretty well. So that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this journey of resurrecting this game from 1998 into a state where you're not ashamed to show it to your friends. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, I hope you consider giving me a thumbs up or subscribing and leaving comments telling me what you thought. And I hope you'll join me for the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.